Looking for an RPG for your Atari Jag? Hey, I am the Game Collector, and this is Second Opinion Games, and today I do the review of Towers 2, Plight of the Stargazer, for the Atari
Jaguar! Jaguar! Jaguar!
Second Opinion Games.
Before I go on and on about the Jaguar's one and only RPG, let me get out of the way some of the things I don't like about this game. Basically, it's just the map system. I really don't care for it whatsoever. When you go to the map, you're just a little white dot, which no clear distinction of what direction you're facing, so it really doesn't tell you a whole lot. So sometimes you basically have to get out of the map screen and then get your bearings a little bit, move around, and then go back into the map screen again to figure out exactly which direction you're facing. And it gets really old really fast. Also, the game's a bit backtracky, and sometimes you'll run around for several minutes just trying to find a chain that you haven't pulled, or a doorknob on the middle of the wall that you haven't noticed before, just so you could open up the next section of the game. But that's what kind of makes it an adventure game after all. So when you start up the game, right off the start there, you have 4 different characters. You have one that's a warrior, one that's a wizard, and the other 2 are somewhere in between. As you cycle around, you'll notice that your stats will change a little bit each time, so you could kind of find the right mix. It usually doesn't give you all 20s or anything for attack, so take what you get. I think the wizard would be pretty much the hardest character in the game, and the warrior is the easiest. So let's jump into the game. Pick up your backpack, and that creates a couple extra slots. You have 4 slots to hold stuff, as well as you could hold tons of different stuff on your body, like a leather cap or a cape or boots. You know, just normal RPG stuff. Weapons could also be anywhere between a bow and arrow, which also you have to find a quiver full of arrows to use, maybe a dagger, a sword, or a club, and plenty of other stuff as the game goes on. You could even pick up a shield later, which is very simple to use. Basically, you just hold the attack button after you attack, and the shield will come up to block. It's pretty easy to use, but not necessarily necessary. Now, I tried to do a little bit of a speed run in this game, so I'm really not going to show you anything that you couldn't get out of the very first hour of someone that knows what they're doing with the game. So I don't really give away any enemies or too much down the road. There's a magic system which sometimes your guy fails to cast, which I have played with some of the other characters, and if you play as a wizard, you pretty much cast a spell every time. If you play with the warrior, you'll almost never cast a spell. Spells could be anywhere between throwing an axe to making food appear in front of you, and food is pretty readily available. While we're on that subject of food, what does it do for you? Well, eventually you'll feel hungry and have to eat. What makes you feel hungry? Well, sleeping, which you could do anywhere to restore both life and magic. However, you want to make sure you're doing it out of the way, because if you're sleeping around enemies, they will come up and stab you while you're standing there sleeping. Yes, standing there sleeping, because apparently you sleep standing up in this game. The enemies here are relatively fully animated with backs and sides and fronts, unlike Wolfenstein for the Atari Jaguar. Also, unlike Wolfenstein for the Atari Jaguar, you have fully textured ceilings and floors. Different from Doom, you have music that plays in the background. And different from Alien vs. Predator, a consistent frame rate that isn't super bad. So this is kind of the best of all those worlds. On top of it, if you're playing with the Pro Controller, the shoulder buttons actually have you strafe back and forth, something that all those first-person shooters did not have, which still bothers me. Matter of fact, the controls in this game itself is really good once you get used to it. Basically, after the first 20 minutes or so, you shouldn't be fumbling around too much. See, the A button pulls up a hand, which can be annoying for opening up doors and secret passageways, and also manages your inventory. Hit the A button again, it all goes away. The B button is for attacks, and the C button is for casting spells. Other buttons you want to think about using is the pause, which when you hit pause and then the option button, you could do some different saves. There's a save cartridge and a save game. The cartridge is for when you want to shut it off. The other save is for when you die. You'll start right back up right there. Why this couldn't be rolled into one save state, I don't know. But I digress. Button 3 is for sleeping, but I kind of already told you all about that. Button 9 brings up your map, which you're going to have to do quite a bit because of the lack of an arrow situation, trying to figure out exactly where you are. Button 2 brings up your stats, which occasionally you're going to want to hit, because when you find a dagger or a sword and you want to know which one is better, you have to equip it in your hand and then pull up your stats, because you can't clearly see it in the game. That's really the other thing I found annoying about the game, but it's really not that bad. Matter of fact, this whole game seems very much on par with other PC first-person dungeon crawlers from the time. Sort of like an early Elder Scrolls game. It's just as good. Everything feels really right with it. Matter of fact, it kind of feels more fleshed out than almost every other game on the Atari Jaguar's lineup. The problem, if you could say that, is it's really not much of a role-playing game. There's not a whole lot of story going on here at all. You can read some scrolls that you found, and it really doesn't tell you all that much. Occasionally you'll even find poop on the ground, just don't carry it around like some type of jerk. It is kind of funny to throw it at enemies, though. And it's more of an action-adventure game than a role-playing game, so it kind of was misclassified. This is a great game, and I highly recommend you guys get it, and I also recommend you pick up a strategy guide on eBay as well, otherwise you'll probably never finish it, because backtracking and looking around really gets old really fast, but it kind of keeps you pushing forward as well. Overall, through and through, this is definitely a must-have for the Jag. Even if it is very expensive, pick up card only if you have to. It's really fun. Try not to watch too many videos out there on the internet of it. There's a whole lot of people playing very poorly. So, definitely pick it up. But that's just my opinion. Thanks for watching. Hey, Game Collector here. If you guys want to see me do like a first 20 minutes of this game with commentary, let me know, because I feel like a lot of you guys really just need help getting started in this game. Also, in the future, I have a lot more top 10s and some games outside of the Atari Jaguar lineup. On top of it, I have 2 more super awesome Atari Jaguar games I cannot wait to tell you guys about. So until later, I'll see you again, guys.